Hey there, I'm Christy of Smallbooks3D. Thank you so much for supporting our small business. We really appreciate you checking out our shop and being here with us today to put together your own Sarah J Maas mini book set. So I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible. It is quite an easy process. You might need to pause the video a couple times, especially if this is your first time working with Google Slides or making mini book covers. But overall, this should not take you too long to do. You can make either Sarah J Maas version here at the bottom or a combination. I'm going to be making the ones on the right today, but again, you could make either with the instructions from this video. So the tutorial will live here on the second slide, and here's all the links for where I find the book covers and the book spines. And there's also more tips and tricks on our YouTube channel if you want to get more into making book covers down the line. And all of the templates are here for each of the different books in her catalog. So the title is on the slide, so you can see here A Court of Mist and Fury, Court of Wings and Ruin, etc. So all of the templates are here with the book titles. So we're going to start with the easiest of the three series, which is Crescent City, because they're all the same size, so that makes that nice and easy. So I'm just going to head straight to Google Images. And I've already typed in here House of Earth and Blood book cover, and I tend to get all of the covers from Amazon just because the image is high quality. And so I'm going to go ahead and copy that image from Amazon. On Google Slides, whenever you want to resize anything, you're simply going to click on this Format Options button at the top, and then you have this size section over here underneath this menu where you can change the size of anything. So I'm going to change it to match this cover size listed here. I'm not going to worry about lining anything up right now. I'm just going to gather the images. So then I would tend to get the back cover. And again, it is on Amazon as a really high quality option. There is no barcode on there. I'm not going to worry about that right now. If that bothers you, you could simply just find another image that has it and use that one instead. Or you could just Google image search a barcode, so it's really up to you. But I'm just going to go ahead and resize this cover. So now I have the front and the back. So that's as easy as it is for all of the front and backs. Because Sarah J Maas books are so prevalent online, you should not struggle to find the front or the back of any of them. It's the spines that can be a little trickier. So now I'm going to go ahead and type in the spine for that book. When I do series, I like to try and find a picture that has all three of the series in one, or all of the books of the series in one image. I know from experience that I struggled to find a great one for Crescent City for that. However, this image here is great for the first two in the series, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that over just to get started here. And the other skill you need in making book covers is cropping. So cropping is really easy. If you just double click on the image, it begins the process, and all you do is pull in the corners or the sides to crop out the part of the image that you want to keep. So when you do that, so I'm left with just the spine that I want to keep here. I'm going to go ahead and do that with the blue spine as well. And then all I would need is the third spine, the Flame and Shadow. And so I would just search that by itself. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that so we can see what it looks like to have all three. Luckily, there's a really high quality option here from Walmart. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that over. I'm going to crop this down just like I did the other two. And then all you have to do is resize them. So these are all the same size. So 0.38 by 1.5. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for all three. And then the last step is I just like to line them up next to each other. And that way I can just kind of make sure that they look really nice in a row, because nobody likes spines that don't line up and that aren't aesthetically pleasing. So if I zoom in here, I didn't crop the blue one super well, so I'm going to crop that in just a tiny bit more and make sure I resize that. Same with the red one. I'm going to crop that in just slightly more so I don't see the background at all. And then I'll simply just resize it to make sure I have it the right size. So now you can kind of see here that all three are lined up really well. There's the exact same amount of space around the title and the author. So these look great. These will look amazing as mini books. So now I have all the spines. That's the hard part, which as you can see really wasn't that hard. And then I would just need to finish by getting the front and back covers. But to show you how to put one all together, I like to put the spine on the page first. And Google Slides really helps you out by having the red lines pop up, and that tells you that it's centered in both directions. So I'm going to place that down, and then you just place the front and the back cover on either side of it. And again, the red lines will pop up to help you out there. So now you have a completed mini book. All you need is to put the outline around it. So I'm going to copy and paste this outline over here that's already done for me and line it up around the book using the red lines. And now you just need to group it all together. So I'm going to drag my mouse to highlight all the pieces and right click group it. So now I have a completed mini book of Sarah J Maas Crescent City House of Earth and Blood. I would do that for the other two by just adding in the front and the back covers and going to group them together. So that's the Crescent City series. The other series, or the next series, I should say, ACOTAR, actually has 4 different sizes because of the variation in spines. So again, I would actually start with the spines on this one. I tend to start with the spines when it comes to series because I like to just make sure I get them all nice and lined up. So you have tons of options again. However, a lot of them are stickers, so I tend to avoid those ones because they aren't like the real thing. But otherwise, you will have lots of different options you can choose from. I'm just going to use this one as an example here. Actually, I don't want the gray, so I do want the orange. So let's use this one as an example. You can search to your heart's content to find the image that you prefer. I'm going to use this one just to show you like a couple, not all of the spines, but let me show you Silver Flames being one of the thick spines. So we're going to use that same cropping technique of double clicking and then dragging in the corners. And I can see how a Court of Silver Flames here is this spine size here, 0.38 by 1.3. And so you can see that lines up great. If you're not happy with the color of any image that you find, like let's say it looks a little bit bright or not bright enough, you can mess with that under adjustments down here. So you can kind of play around with the contrast to get it a little bit brighter or more to stand out a little bit more, if you will. So you can play around with that, but you don't have to. If I copy that image one more time, so let's say I want to do Court of Mist and Fury. So if I go ahead and crop that out, that's going to be a different spine size because it's slightly smaller. So that one is on this page here. So that's a 0.32 spine. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So you can see next to each other, aesthetically, they look pretty similar. The author name is laid out the same way, and the title is about the same width. One thing I noticed is that the logo at the bottom is slightly higher. So to fix that, I could just double click on the image and drag the image down a little bit if I want to make sure those line up a little bit better. But overall, that's kind of how you would do that. Now, I will say the trickiest part of the whole Sarah J Maas experience is a Court of Frost and Starlight, because it's such a skinny spine. It can be challenging to make it so it doesn't look distorted. So for that one, I actually like to search it by itself and try and find a good image of it. So this one is upside down, but I can tell that this one should work pretty well. So I'm going to copy this image over, and just to show you the spine, because the front and the back will be easy, but the spine can be a little tricky. So I'm going to crop this spine out, and I'm going to go ahead and give it a few rotates. So now it's facing the right way. So the size is listed here, so I could simply just plug in the size. But what you'll notice is that it does look slightly distorted. The text is stretched out, and so therefore I want it to look more like this, where it's not stretched out, but then it's not wide enough. So to basically fudge that, to sort of manipulate it to work, I make a copy of the image and I crop out a line of just the blue by itself. So I literally end up with just like a very small rectangle of blue, and I make that the same height as the spine itself, and I line it up next to the spine, and then I stretch that out to basically cheat it, so where I'm adding on blue without stretching out the text itself. Doing that on the other side, you can see the blue is a slightly different shade. So then I just raise that, or lower that brightness, I should say, to sort of have it blend in a little bit better. So you can see now that I have the spine as a 0.23, as you can see over here. So I'm going to group that together by clicking on all the different parts or highlighting all the different parts and right click group. And now the title itself is not stretched out. So that's a little trick to kind of manipulate spines if they ever look stretched out. If you don't want to bother with all that, honestly, it doesn't look bad just doing the original spine cropped. That's just an extra for those that want to get a little more in the details of it, if you will. The color variation is super, super minor, so that won't pop up when you go to print, so don't worry about that. So that's ACOTAR. Throne of Glass is just the same. I know from experience that Throne of Glass is harder than it seems it would be to find a picture of all the spines together. There are so many out there, but whether or not the quality is good or if the spines are straight can be the tricky part. So the one that I like is from Pango. I found this one on Pango that's pretty good. Also, you can search and just see all the other options. So I know that this one has been good for me in the past because it's all nice and straight. So if I were to copy this one over, I would simply just have to then crop out all the spines and size them accordingly, just like we've been doing the whole time. There's nothing tricky about any of these spines, so nothing like the Frost and Starlight. You would just crop them out and go ahead and resize them. There is a blanket over here, but that's not an issue. You'll notice when you go to crop it, you can easily avoid that by just cropping on the inside of that. So these ones do not come with any sort of extra details. You simply just need to make them the size listed on the slide. So again, those are just a couple quick tips and tricks. The front and the back covers are nice and easy with this series. You won't struggle to find those. So hopefully the tips for the spines help you out. You'll just make sure to group them all together, and then you'll make your print page, which will be sent when you make your purchase. So you'll just gather them on your print page and then print them out and you're good to go. So hopefully you found this helpful in making your Sarah J Maas set. Again, you could apply all of these instructions and tips to do the other style if you would prefer that style or a mixture of the two. They both work the exact same way. So I hope you really enjoy the set that you end up with. If you have any issues or questions, please reach out to me. I love making book covers, so I'm happy to help, and happy bookmaking. We hope to see you in our shop again soon. And again, reach out with any questions or problems. Thanks. Bye.